this.
All right.
Hello, Glaciate Gooners. Um, let's just start here with my boy Blue Fox. What do we like and what do we don't, and what are we not liking so much about this team?
So I think to start us off, I think Spice, who's also in this call, he brought up that the only Terra captain on this team is Arcanine, which I don't think really benefits from Terra anyways. Um, I think if you have a Hippowdon on this team, you probably want to be Terra Drill here.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking something like that too. 'Cause, I mean,
Yeah, and speaking on the Hippowdon thing, it's like I just don't see how Tyranitar isn't better than Hippowdon in every single way, other than like guaranteed recovery with slack off. I mean, just having knockoff support, having D dance sets openable for T-Tar. It's like, yeah, Hippowdon can come in, set sand, sponge a hit or two, get up rocks, but aside from that, it's just really passive. I'm not a big fan of it at all this generation.
Uh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
in fairness to Blue Fox, I believe T-Tar went
Yeah.
like right after he drafted Excadrill. So
Oh,
it kind of
that's even funnier, actually. So there's two sand teams in Glaciate.
Let me check out the team real quick. I just saw Cheetar.
where is
I
it?
don't know if it's a sand team because you only really run drill on sand. Yeah, Cheetar's just kind of there.
Yeah, let's see.
That's awesome.
Who sniped T-Tar?
Um,
Where?
Yuji.
Oh, Yuji.
Mm-hmm.
I see him now.
T-Tar is a standalone Mon, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, that is funny.
Yeah, I think my main issue with this team is there could be a lot better Terra captains on this team. Also, I mean, there's only like one mon. There's like two mons I'd consider kind of real on this team, maybe three, and and Meow, Zapdos, and Glimora.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, because
Anyways,
Excadrill without. Let's look at the speed stat. Where's Excadrill?
it's 88.
88 without sand, man.
It's
That's just
tough.
rough.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, shall we move on to your team, Justin?
Oh, this demon ass team, yes sir. Let's lock in. Let's lock in Terrace or Mono Ice, bro.
Yeah. So I think right off the bat, recognizing that this is an ice-only team. I mean, I think you picked up the most threatening ice mons available. The only thing that could have made this team a bit better is probably having Iron Bundle here, just for the nice fast prevention.
Yeah,
For the nice fast revenge killer.
that was the plan. I think round
Mm.
4 where I went Mammo, and I believe he just got sniped for me.
Yeah, that's that's totally fair. I think I'd rather have Kim and Bax though, so I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
Let's see. Ooh.
No, I unironically love Justin's team. I mean,
Mhm.
it's obviously going to have some really bad matchups some weeks, but Ice is
Mhm.
such a good offensive typing that if Justin just plays really aggressive and just constantly is putting himself in a position to succeed, I think he can definitely steamroll some teams that are just not very well prepared for it. You know, I
For
didn't
sure.
realize that you also had a Abomasnow. You should Terra Abomasnow. I actually
Really?
really
You
like
think so?
Terra. Yeah. It's got pretty good stats. You know, I think it's bulky enough to live a hit if it doesn't have such a bad offensive or excuse me, defensive typing. And no, I think it's one of those teams. I think PZZ talked about it
Mhm.
in Bolt Strike PRs,
Yeah.
I think that Terra Abomasnow can win some matchups. Just if you don't prep for it, it can absolutely steamroll.
See, I I don't agree with the Terra Abomasnow, uh, just because I think Titan probably wants Terra more. Just because I think Titan with Terra and Snow can very easily just kind of win games.
Oh, totally.
You could be saying that about like half these mons too. That's
True, but
the thing
Titan
about this
just
team.
needs one turn in Snow.
Yeah,
Then you
belly
just
drum
lose.
plus Slush Rush.
Uh,
You know
so
what?
I'd consider probably taking Terra off of the Mammoth and transferring it uh, to the Titan.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't really know if Cloister needs Terra either. I kind of
Probably
feel like
not.
Cloister gets all of the coverage it needs,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
so it and then it's got good enough bulk to live most neutral hits, especially on the physical side. And if they're not bringing a mirror,
physically, yeah.
yeah, if they're not bringing a mirror either, you know, you shell smash up once, icicle spear, rock blast, water coverage, and that's pretty threatening already. So no, I like the Terra on Titan too, but also maybe a bomb spell plus the Titan,
hmm
or just keep it on Cloister just in case you want to be
hmm
able to live something. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I like
think
it.
those options, those are both pretty solid options. One thing I think you did one thing I like about this team, in particular, for just being an ice only team, you have pretty solid hazards.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I knew I had to cover when I was drafting this. And I think the
hmm
huge miss from this was Cryogonal. Or how the hell do you say that mon's name?
Uh, uh,
Cryogonal?
yeah.
Something
yeah,
like that. I don't know, that was a huge miss cuz I thought Blue Fox drafted him for the longest time,
Oh,
but
really?
I did. And so I thought he was off the board. No, but
That's fu-
it's just like, what am
that's
I
funny.
doing? You would have slotted in for Glaceon, I think, cuz I needed that
hmm
extra and just let. I know this is gonna be a pretty standard. Just let the Kyurem, Baxcalibur,
Yeah.
Cloister just kill stuff, while everything else just chips.
Yeah, I think Kiram is. Well, I think if you're not factoring in Terra into any of the mons, I think Kiram might be the scariest mon to prep against, just because it is very threatening both physically and specially.
Mhm. Let's see. Yeah,
Uh,
that 130, 130 attack stat in both stats,
mhm.
so you can run a physical special, whichever. And then 95 speed ain't bad. It's not the best thing in the
No.
world, but I mean you can scarf that.
hmm Super easily. Shall we move on?
Yeah, that's.
All right. So the next team we have in this list is Lord Arcanine, which for everybody who's uh to timestamp this, this is after he left he left the league, so we'll only spend like uh be, probably like a minute talking about this team. The things I have to say for it is why do we have three steel types on this team? And uh, I don't think the tier captains are too stellar on this. But the one thing I will say this team does have kind of going for it is it has a lot of setup offense and a screen setter.
You know,
yeah. Rest in peace to the legend.
rest in peace to my sweet baby boy, man. Gone but not forgotten.
Uh,
All
No,
right.
no, this team's fine, I guess.
I mean, the speed tiers are bad,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's not great.
horrendously bad. Uh, Speed tiers aren't good. There's no spikers, and there's only 2 mons that click knockoff. Not very good.
Hold on. Why does Comfy learn knockoff? What in the world?
I
So,
don't know.
so
It
you mean to
just
tell me Comfy learns knockoff, but not King Gambit?
yeah.
And
I
neither
don't think
does
I want to play in
Grimmsnarl.
a meta. I don't think I want to play in a meta where King Gambit knows knockoff, dude. That's why I stopped playing Nat decks.
Yeah.
Hey, fair enough. Fair enough.
Shall we segue in,
Uh,
into the new team that
Lord Arcanine
replaced
Reborn.
Arcanines? All right. So the player that came in and replaced Lord Arcanine is Orange, who played with us for the past 2 seasons. So we're very happy to have him back for our third season. And when he was given the okay to make changes to the team, he went and did exactly that. He dropped everything, and he made a very terrifying team. Like uh, I think if we were ranking this today, it'd probably be first or second.
Yeah. And also, I want to say Spectrier going undrafted might be one of the most insane things I've ever seen.
Yeah. But this team has so much offensive prowess here. I mean, you've got Spac, you've got your Dragonite, Terra Waken Sun, Terra Venusaur and Sun, which is actually something I recommended to him. I think he initially had Terra Thunder T, which is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but I think in Sun, Venusaur goes absolutely nuts.
Oh, 100%.
Um, but yeah, I think this team is super strong, and I look forward to I look forward to seeing what Orange can do with it.
Yeah, I really like this team too. I really think Terra Wake is unironically like a top 10 mon in the meta right
Uh-huh.
now. The
Hmm.
only concern I would say I personally have is this team is pretty like really rock weak.
Hmm.
You know, this is just an easy put stealth rocks up, and if Orange isn't putting boots on, three of his mons, he's gonna really feel it.
Hmm.
And I think that's really the hard part with having so many like really solid flying fire types is like, yeah, it's a really good offensive typing, but obviously that stealth rock weakness is just so hard to navigate.
Yeah, and looking at it, his only form of removal is Torkoal with Rapid Spin.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, this is like one of the only teams that like I would actually recommend getting a rapid spinner and a defogger for, even if it's not a very good one.
Hmm.
Well, I wonder if Smeargle probably can learn both of those moves, which is kind of
I
like you
don't
don't really
think
want to take
so.
Smeargle. Oh, really? I thought he can get everything except what's the
Yeah, Dark
the
Void.
dark rice sleep move? Yeah, dark void or
Dark
whatever.
Void. It might get tidy up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I just think this team would have appreciated
It
a
gets
another
modal
hazard
spin,
remover. Oh,
so
well,
it
modal
Oh,
can
spin is
it
nice.
can
Modal
spin, I
spin is
okay.
guess.
So we
But
got two spinners, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's Smeargle spinning. You want that doing like more disruption, you would think.
there's some Smeargle truthers out there that absolutely love that mon, and I think it is dog shit. I think Smeargle is
yeah.
terrible. Like for like a 2 pointer,
Let me
3 pointer on the roster, like no disrespect to Orange for picking it up because it does obviously provide a lot of value with hazard stacking and whatnot. But yeah, that mon is a shitter.
Okay, so I just looked on Showdown. It can spin. Technically, it does have rapid spin. It does have defog.
I thought it did because I was like, I'm pretty sure the whole gimmick is that it can learn every move.
Hmm.
But no, I like this team. I think as long as Orange is able to, manage hazards effectively, I think he could really go far.
Yeah, for sure.
This is why I picked up 3 taunt Pokemons.
Hmm.
Just taunt everything that comes in, man.
True, true. It's just another team that I feel like as long as it's piloted really aggressively, I think they'll be okay.
Shall we move on?
Right.
Totally.
Let's go
Let
on
me
to
make sure I have the Terras right on this, because there's a chance. Why are all these tabs open? Um, let me make sure this is correct on the doc. It's not. All right, I thought something was off. Uh,
where's this mono? Where's this mono dark team at? Oh,
yeah,
number
this
1.
is Mono Dark. I don't know if. Let me check the transactions channel real quick. I don't recall when the Terra was moved to Diancie. I mean, it makes sense for it to be there initially because it's the only mon that's not a dark type here. But I guess it was never the Terra captain, so I think Jakar just input that wrong on the doc. All right.
Wow.
So anyways, I think I think having the dark type only is super strong, and I think uh, this offensive core of Darkrai, Roaring Moon, and Samurai Tazui is super strong, super impressive.
What if I told you that those mons weren't even the stars of last week, man? Lokix took
True.
over. Lokix took over the game and got 5 kills.
Big low kicks coming in and cleaning up.
Dude, granted,
The one thing I will say that is a bit out of place on this team is Terra Umbreon. I don't think it ever needs Terra. Um,
no, but I can see what they're trying to do, trying to get something bulkier to
oh
have the
yeah, for
Terra
sure.
for switch-ins,
Mhm.
especially because this
Yeah,
team gets like fried by like fairy fighting, bark
Yeah.
type. I mean, just have something bulky out there to deal with those.
I
Mhm.
I I I think I agree with that logic. Like, yeah, you want something a little bulkier for those exactly what you described, fighting and fairy types. One fairy types this gen are awful. There's like two really good
Yeah.
fairies, and then like one okay one, and the rest of them are trash. I think
Mhm.
Diancie can kind of do what Umbreon would theoretically do, but better. Because it just has better bulk, better utility, and it still isn't very passive with like Diamond Storm plus body press sets.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, yeah, it looks like he drafted 11 Mons. I just don't see why you wouldn't just drop two of your, less likely to perform well Mons and then move Terra over to low kicks and keep it on Diancie because that does actually feel really threatening to have Terra low kicks plus Terra Diancie plus Moon Spikes,
Uh-huh.
Darkrai, which Darkrai might be a fraud, but I don't actually I think Darkrai's a threat. Actually, I've just heard fraud that he's on fraud watch right now, but I think he's pretty good.
I think it really depends on the matchup for Darkrai. I think he is pretty solid. I just don't think he's round one anymore.
No, I would agree with that. Which I mean, I for the shtick, for drafting a mono dark team, I understand why
Mhm.
Leaf drafted it number one overall. But yeah, no, it's probably like a high round two. Maybe pair it with I don't even know what you'd pair it with in like late round one. But yeah, no, I think Darkrai's good. Obviously, Samurai has been one of the mons of this generation, just with having Ceaseless Edge.
Mhm.
Roaring Moon is either like drafted on a Sun team usually or not drafted at all. which I just kind of think Roaring Moon is slept on this like right now.
For
Um,
sure.
I think having its bulky D dance set, I think having like one of the strongest knockoffs in the game, like that
Mhm.
mon is a threat. So no, this is another one of those gimmick teams where I'm like, no, I'm kind of bought in. I kind of love it.
Mhm. For
Get rid of
sure.
like Scrafty and Houndoom and move Terra onto low kicks. And I think this is actually a really good team.
Mhm.
No, that
For
team.
sure. I think Terra on low kicks it makes it so that you can't switch in on it just at all. I think having having a defensive Terramon and Umbreon, I don't really think it is all that practical because you still have to switch in first and stay in
Yeah,
to Terra. Um, I think another cool Terra option could be uh, Terra Jugulus, although I think you dropped it, so I will forget that point. But
yeah, Terra Jug is good. I like Terra Jug.
mhm.
Mhm.
But yeah, this team is pretty solid for a monotype team. Shall we move on?
Yeah,
All right. Let's go on to Vicman.
So this team is interesting. Um, I think I think Deoxys speed is really among. I think it's pretty solid, but I think you have to make sure you have the right set each week for you to see, for you to get the value uh that you want out of it.
No doubt. No doubt about that. Let's see.
I think. Did Jakar put this out of order, or did single strike last until round 5? Uh,
that's pretty nuts.
let's
I know we're talking about
check the
Glaciate here.
doc. True, but like
Glaciate Goons.
it
Yep.
did. It did last until round 5.
Says
Very interesting.
not drafted Spectrier in round 5 Urshi single strike. Can I play in Glaciate next season, dude? I want to play in this bit.
I mean,
No,
if you don't
no,
win
Yeah,
enough, yeah,
hey, let me
my
just go.
div.
Let me go 1-7 real quick, and I'm just gonna
yeah.
come hang out in Glaciate for a while.
Yeah, man.
um,
No,
I don't think you can handle that Glaciate grind, bro.
the Glaciate grind set is different. You right.
It is.
uh,
Um, this team looks weird.
yeah,
Like it. There's something that like about it aesthetically that I'm having a really hard time like deciding whether or not I like it.
I think.
Um,
So we have a speed tier not above a 100. Because let's be real, there's nobody who's creeping uh, Deox's speed. So realistically, your fastest speed is Urshifu single strike.
Yeah, dude. That's.
no, I yeah, the speed tiers are bad. I would agree with that. I don't like the speed tiers on this game.
Hmm.
Uh, I love Psy Spam. I really do. I think this is like one of my
Hmm.
most like ridiculous takes, but I think Psy Spam is a totally reasonable team style.
Hmm.
Because I really like just in DD, Dio speed, throwing off expanding forces. He has a top tier fighting type to kind of bully the dark switch ins. Um, you get rid of priority when psychic terrain is up, so nothing is going to revenge kill Dio speed. Um, no, I really like Psy Spam as a concept. I just kind of feel like the pieces around the Psy Spam offense is kind of bad. Like I don't think Orthworm is very good. Um, Terra Dirge is like okay, but I'd rather see Terra Como every single week than Terra Dirge. You
Hmm.
know, which at that point, if you're not running Terra Dirge, why have it on the roster?
I agree. Um, I think another Terra captain that could be kind of cool on this team is Terra Thorns.
Yeah, it's like a nice little budget.
Yeah, I think Thrones
Terra
with
Cap.
Terra is pretty threatening. Um, but I think what makes this team very weird for me is I think Urshifu should have been the second round pick here, but we go unpunished for 3 rounds and we pick it up round 5.
That's goaded. I love it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge pick. That's just best available right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think this team's speed tiers need work, but it has pretty good breakers and whatnot. I think maybe a fast special breaker could be kind of cool here, but I don't know. There's a lot to figure out with this team, I think.
Yeah, I
Bombardier
think
doesn't get
Dio,
defog. What?
dude, nothing gets defog this gen. It's like
Mm-hmm.
Corvi, Mandibuzz, and like how Lucha is only notable for it because he has Mold Breaker to defog in front of Goldango. That's it. Those are the only three defoggers I even know of.
Oh,
Dude.
shall we move on?
Yep.
All right.
All right. Uh, so this team, Yuji's team, pretty solid top 3, and then I don't know what's happening for the rest of the draft.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what Tyranitar wants to do on this team.
Especially with Terra. I think after round 3, we got to the point where we were like, oh, think I need this roll, this roll, this roll, this roll, and this roll. So we just kind of picked mons that filled the role instead of what worked with your top 3 here.
Mhm.
I feel like Slowbro. I do like Slowbro on this team. Just because I mean Regenerator Mon, and you
It
can never go
does,
wrong with those.
true, but it also does not have teleport this gen. So it
Yeah.
really you're kind of screwed if you want that extra 33% because something is forced to take a hit.
Yeah,
Yeah, Slowbro losing teleport this gen is like one of the most underrated nerfs of the whole
Mm-hmm.
gen, in my opinion, because I would run I would run Slowbro in almost every Gen 8 team I've ever used because it's just so
Mm-hmm.
reliable. Scald support, teleport, regenerator. It's got random Gen 1 coverage if you have a bad matchup into a particular mon. And then
Mm-hmm.
just not being able to teleport out, it sucks. It sucks so bad because Slowbro's awesome. I really like it, but oh well.
Yeah, so I think the game plan for this team is probably set spikes or set webs, try to break with either Salamence or Terapagos, and then clean up with either the one that's not used for breaking or Sneasler, and then maybe have Azu for revenge kill support or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think this team has a pretty straightforward plan each week, which could be kind of problematic if their opponents start to catch on to that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I can see that.
There's
Speed
yeah,
tiers, speed tiers are okay on it.
yeah, they're not the worst thing in the world for sure. I I think there is a gap between 100 and 85 because I think 87 is the cutoff for creeping base 100s or forcing Thunder One Jolly or whatever.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, that's all I really have for this team. I just think there's no sense of direction with this team.
Now, some of the individual pieces are pretty good, but other
Hmm.
than that, I don't really exactly see the cohesion.
Hmm.
Yeah, because this top three is like one of the scariest top threes I'd probably say out of any team out there
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
with Sneasler having that dire claw bullshit.
Yeah.
Terrapagos, just I mean it's just Terrapagos. And Salamence
Mhm.
with you can either run that with Intimidate or Moxie, and each week it's gonna be. I know that's probably gonna vary each week, but I mean
Mhm.
you don't know if you're gonna get a defensive Mance with that Intimidate, just being able to like shut down teams or like more physical heavy teams, or Moxie
Mhm.
where it could just get one Dragon Dance up and you're +1 getting a kill every week or every
Yeah.
you know that's where it's just gonna be like that top three is just insane. Just just like you
Mhm.
guys were saying after that. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's move on to Audette Aaron's team. Um, I think it's interesting, but very odd. I think two high tier Terras is never the play. Um, just because you're essentially losing viability on on one of them as soon as you click the Terra button.
Mm.
Dude, why is he
Especially
hoarding all the
like he picked,
regenerators?
yeah, total
Mhm.
regen spam. Yeah, no, especially because I feel like he picked the two high-end Terra
Mhm.
captains that are most Terra reliant. It's like, yeah, Ape, Torn, and Zarude are the three Mons that I would consider the most reliant on having their Terra.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Um, it's yeah, this is just another one of those cases where it's like I like a lot of the pieces individually, and I don't think I like this team. He's got some good pivots. I mean, being able to throw Mola, Heatran, and Crook out, and just take a hit and pivot out in a couple of instances, like that's not terrible. And then I think Fez is a little underrated,
Mhm.
but he also has probably the worst ogre pawn. Um, no, I think
Mhm.
Teal's probably worse than Heart Flame.
Yeah. I think if we're not accounting for Terra, I think Teal is totally worse.
Yeah, no, not yeah. Without Terra, I think Teal is worse than Hearth Flame. Which, by the way, Rock Pawn is so good, guys. That is
It's
a
it's
buster.
It's a
amazing. I love
demon,
it.
It's
bro.
so good.
Mhm.
You know what I do love though? I love Rotom Frost. I love that mon. I think it's low key underrated as offensively. If you hit your blizzards, it hits really hard. You can throw
Mhm.
like a nasty plot, like plus boots set, or even like I ran a choice specs over in
Mhm. Yeah.
choice specs blizzard spam. It was great. No, I like that
Mhm.
mon.
Yeah, I had someone run that enemy once, and it caught me completely off guard.
Oh, it totally does because you don't think of Rotom as like an offensive threat, and then base 110 plus the stab bonus plus choice specs, and you
Mhm.
realize your ice resists are trash on this team, and it's like, oh fuck, I'm in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I just think uh, out of vacuum, there's a lot of solid mons here. Um, Aside from that, I just don't think they gel well together. I don't think they cover each other well defensively at all.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Um, I think the thing that this team does have have uh, kind of going for it is that regen core and fat wishes into ape is super nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you played this team like slow and
Mm,
let it kind of slowly pick up steam, I can definitely see it making progress in some matchups. Um, like I kind of think this team might be pretty good into Leafs team. Um,
And
I
Mika.
don't see like I think if it, like if Leaf can't get something like Roaring Moon in early to start breaking some of the fatter pieces on this team.
I mean, I think Darkrai 6-0's this.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but this team, the one thing I will say about this team is like I don't think the defensive pieces do cover themselves super well.
Hmm.
But I mean, you can kind of play around it. Like Darkrai has great coverage, obviously, but I think like Darkrai probably isn't breaking Mola, Heatran, Crook, and Fez all at the same time.
For sure, probably not. But I think it's doing enough damage for something else to win. For something else to win kind of easily.
Hmm. No, and I think one of the things this team would probably like is just something to set toxic spikes or just
Oh
more
yeah,
hazard
for sure.
passing. Because if you got all
That's a
these
good shout. Hmm.
regenerators, I think you want to get more hazard stacking up as you are gonna outlive the opponent,
Hmm.
whoever it may be, because your team's just so fat with these regenerators.
For sure. I think that is a totally fair shout. I think that is the one issue of Fez being the poison type on this team.
Man, can you
Yeah,
imagine?
poison type without toxic spikes does kind of feel like a little bit of a letdown.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Shall we move on?
All right,
Yeah.
on to Meowscarot. Or no, Meowdoria.
Neodoria, I think.
Yep. So let's
I
see.
mean, I think this is an all-around pretty solid team. Speed tiers are solid. Hazard setters are a bit lackluster, but you have solid removal. I think what sticks out of place for me is the Terra on Vikavolt. I think it works with Terra, but I think if you're Terra Moltres here, that increases its viability so much.
Yeah.
It does, but I feel like Urshi is like such a
Mhm.
solid Terra captain that I think 7 out of the 8 matchups in the regular season, they're just gonna go ahead and Terra Urshi. That's why it's like always kind of hard picking a second Terra captain, which is why I leave a lot of
Mhm.
my drafts without a second Terra captain. Is like, what matchup am I not gonna Terra Zarude? What matchup am I not gonna Terra Urshifu Rapid Strike?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Um,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, because even if they're running
So
like Storm Drain or something like that, you'd probably plan around that with like, because doesn't Urshifu
yeah,
get Grass Knot?
it gets Trailblaze. It gets
Trailblaze, yeah.
Trailblaze.
Trailblaze.
Which like
Got it.
that's not even bad. Either.
No,
Just with the added fit of the speed boost, and then somebody switches in like a Storm Drain. Uh oh god, what is that mon called? The fucking slug from
Gastrodon.
Gen 4.
Gastrodon.
Gastrodon. Yeah, somebody switches in Storm Drain Gastro, and it's like you're probably 2-hit KOing, especially if you go like Terra Grass Trailblaze.
For sure. Or even, I think you can catch a lot of people off guard with Terra Water. Terra Water Aqua Jet, I think,
Yeah.
can surprise a lot of people if their Scarfer that's planned to revenge this is kind of weakened or something like that.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I think this is a very solid offensive team right here.
Yeah, just clear vision. Clear
Hmm.
vision. I think that's
For
the,
sure.
besides the mono teams, which are more meme-ish,
Hmm.
this is like the first one you could tell what they want to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they stole this team from is it Tone? Tone had like a long running series with like 20 different videos of like, hey, here's like different team styles you could consider for Gen 9.
Really?
But it's a good team. Yeah, no, it's actually it's a pretty interesting series. I like a couple of the videos. But yeah, the Urshifu Iron Tread Cinderace is a 3 mon core that he built with. But yeah, no, it's a
Hmm.
cool team. I like this team actually.
Mhm.
Latios is good. It's kind of like a nice budget, like Scarfer. It's not really budget; it's pretty expensive, but like it's nice, like later round Scarfer wall, like special breaker.
Yeah,
Um,
I think if you're not relying on it for offense, because this team has Rapid Strike and Cinder for offense, as well as some supporting special offense there as well. I think it's a solid slot on this team.
yeah, it's the logic that it's like it's not good enough to be a round one, round two, round three choice anymore. But
Hmm.
if you have the budget and you can get it later in the draft, round 5 through 7, I totally think it's worth picking up. Um, the only question I have now that I'm looking at it a little closer is, do Gengar and Latios both do the same thing? And therefore you don't need both of them?
Um, I mean, I see why the Gengar is here. Um,
Yeah.
it is technically a poison type. Um, I suppose it is replaceable, but I think it does offer like supporting special offense here, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, it's not a bad mon. I like Gengar. It's just something you look at it and it's kind of like Latios and Gengar have the same speed stat. They even have the same special attack. Obviously, different stab moves, but
mhm,
you can kind of argue that like, hey, if you wanted Latios in this in your draft, but you didn't get it, well, Gengar's still there. You know, it's still kind of a, not quite a one for one comparison. It's but it's
mhm.
kind of like different types of apples. You know.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
But no, it's a good team. I like this team.
its stabs are weaker, but I think you can use one to break and one to clean in this type of
Oh,
scenario.
totally. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Let's move on, shall we?
Cool.
To Vero's team, which has a very threatening top two.
Pull and Enam Incarnate. You know what I just figured out recently? Uh,
What's
why
up?
everyone runs Terra Stellar on Enam is because it gets that stat drops. I
Um,
didn't know Terra Stellar dropped
Yeah,
your
the
stats.
contrary deuce.
Yeah,
uh,
I
it
didn't I did not know that till recently.
that is what it does, but I think it really just wants to run Terra Fairy.
Yeah.
Like Terra
Yeah,
Fairy
I see a
specs.
lot of fairy stellar ground.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, with those Earth powers, this thing gets like everything you want for like coverage.
For sure. It's also uh, you can also run it physically as well with sewer power and whatnot.
Yep. It's kind of weird. I never experimented with that.
I picked it up in FBL just to break the fourth wall, break the fourth wall, kinda, and I'm
Mhm.
excited to use it for sure.
Now we're looking at Ursaluna.
Mm,
I mean, I just Ursaluna just kills stuff whenever it gets in. And
yeah.
also, I'm looking at their speed stats, and it's pretty good. And you got
Uh,
140, wait, 142, 110, 108, 106. I mean,
yeah, they're pretty solid. Um, I think one issue or one place where this team uh struggles is the hazard game on this team is very weak.
yeah, just having Cleavor set up everything, pretty
Yeah,
much.
which I don't like with Pult specifically because Pult really likes hazards to be able to be more offensive.
Mhm.
Uh, one thing I do like about this team is Volcanion. I think it's starting to see a lot more usage now just because its stabs are very spammable, especially when you're running like choice specs or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Cause I mean, all the anything that resists water is getting hit by that fire type move, and vice
With
versa.
the exception of the dragon type, which resists to both of them, but even still, if it's like if it's a physical dragon, like a Garchomp or something, well, Garchomp's a bad example because it won't resist. But anyways,
Like Dragonite.
yeah, it does not want to switch in to a Hydro Steam because it's a 30% chance to burn, I believe, same as Scald.
Mhm.
So it's kind of scary to switch in. Aside from the top four, I think the rest of the offense is kind of whatever. I think Brood Bonnet without Terra is absolutely horrible and should not have a place on this team.
Yeah.
I think Electivire's kind of a waste of points as well. I don't think it really does anything well.
No, but he might be wanting that for a knockoff Pokemon, looking at his disruption
Maybe,
moves.
yeah. You really don't have tons of knockers. I think, does Brute Bonnet not get knocked off? I thought it did.
No, I feel like the sheet wouldn't lie to me. Let's
It,
see.
it does not.
That's wild, dude.
Well, there goes half the viability of there goes half the viability of having that dark stab right there. Um, but yeah, not tons to say about this team. I think after the top four, it is pretty untraditional. I don't think you see a lot of these mons picked up a lot of the time.
Mhm.
I also think Avalugg as your only form of removal is pretty bad.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, all you got is just any fire type move or fighting mon, which there are plenty of throughout
Hmm.
the league. I mean, you could just predict a switch in or something like that. And then rapid spin in general, if you got a ghost type, you can just switch in on that every time too.
Hmm.
I mean, it is
Shush.
Avalugg. What's it gonna do? Icicle
Hmm.
Crash do like 20%, and then you just one shot it with whatever fire move you got.
Hmm. Shall we move on to Fake on the Gauge?
Yep.
So, one thing I like about this team, kind of right off the bat, is we saw a team similar to this, similar to this in the Bolt Strike division, where they had round one gouging fire, round two Corv, and the feedback we gave that team is that we don't think there's a true round one pick on that team, and this team has that round one pick, and Iron Valiant.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Um,
could see that. And then they all got type coverages that just cover each other. I'm always
mhm,
trying to get this fairy dragon steel core because that's just some of the best types in the game.
mhm. Uh, one thing I will say is I see four mons that are solid here, and then the rest can be kind of abused to an extent. I think Terrible is a solid pickup. I think it pairs fairly well with Iron Valiant. Just allowing one of them to run like Choice Band or something like that, and the others to boost your energy set or Choice Scarf to clean up the game. So having fast speed that has some form of offensive presence is nice to pair with Valiant.
Mhm.
So I like Val. I like Gouging Fire. Corvus, alright. Terra Boulder's good. And then the rest is pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, I could see what I mean, that's just the problem with going with so many.
Hmm.
What is this? Like 22 points, 20, and like 18? Isn't it something like
It's
that? No, it's
like
not 18. It's got to be like 15.
it's like 23, 21. Gouging Fire is probably like 18. I'm not looking at a draft board right now. Uh, Iron Boulder is 23. Val is 21. Gouging Fire is 17, and then Corv is pretty cheap. Yeah, Corv is 14. Corv's 13.
Yep.
But I mean, you have roles, I suppose. I think Alligator is kind of cool, but I think without Terra, it's really not that good. Same thing with Raikou. I don't see it being. I see it being taken advantage of by. I see it being taken advantage of pretty easily. Um,
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to run probably specs. And what's the special version of Jolly Nature?
uh, Timid.
Yeah, specs timid a lot.
Hmm,
I could see that happening.
for sure. There is also a gap in the speed tier. Going from 115 to 91 is not good.
Mhm.
So this team could benefit by from some like base from some base one from some base 100 man. Uh,
But I'm not sure who out there would be base 100 after all that, so might be stuck with it.
for sure. Let's move on to Ferrix. Ferrix. I'm not sure how you pronounce that exactly. Uh, but I think this team is a pretty solid, like, bulky offense team right here.
Mhm.
Excuse me.
Bulky offense. Only form of removal though is Regieleki.
Yeah, which isn't great, but I mean it's kind of whatever. I think hazard removal's kind of fake anyways, unless you get like Tusk or Terapagos or something like that.
That's true.
Uh,
That's fair.
aside from Moltres, which is flooding boots, though, you're really not that hazard weak anyways.
Is TU taking 25% from every switch in? Is that what that is?
Yeah, but if you Terra depending on what Terra you run, that can change.
Yeah.
This all being said, I think Hazard Stack is a solid way to annoy this team for sure.
Also, Latias round 8. Is that what I'm seeing here?
Yeah, I think Latias kind of fell off a lot.
That's true, but I mean it is a dragon type with insane stats.
Mm,
And that's just something I just have a hard time overlooking that late, especially
hmm
around like rounds 5, 5, 6, you might be like, okay, I need a prob because you at that point you would have probably drafted your one to two wall or supporter in Pokemon. You're like, okay, maybe I should look at adding another attacker, potentially wall breaker, and I don't know. Latias falling that late is kind of crazy to me.
mm. I mean, I think Latias now functions. I think it takes on a support role now as opposed to offensive. Which, this being said, it can obviously have some offensive presence there with like choice specs sets. I think are fairly viable, but most of the time you see like screens or T-wave sets now.
Hmm. I see.
I think this team does. I think the. I think this team is sort of the inverse of the Kelmy Gage's team, where if there's like a very good top four, and then you struggle to pick two mons to bring in. I think this team, uh, because this is a team that I don't think has that problem. I think all of these mons are pretty viable, except for maybe Eleki. I think Eleki is a bit. Uh, you can take advantage of it.
Mhm. Yeah, but I mean,
Plus,
normal gem explosion goes crazy every time.
Rue.
That's so true. As its one saving grace from having all electric moves.
Yeah. Shall we move on to Flurpy's team?
Yep. Flurpy, I apologize if this is not how you say the name,
I
but you will be
presume
known as
it's Flurpy.
Flurpy.
If not, I also apologize. But I think now we're starting to get into the sort of the top, the cream of the crop, I believe is the phrase of the teams for Glaciate.
Mhm.
Um,
Terra
Here we have a
Greninja.
super solid round two. Yeah, I think Gren, as soon as a few mons on the opposing side are weakened, I think the chance of Gren picking up that matchup gun in there is super high. Um, I will say, not having a rain setter on this is really tough. Because you have three mons that sort of directly, uh, three mons that really like rain here.
Mhm. I'm
Uh,
guessing. I'm guessing the third is Noivern.
no, it's uh, it's Gren for the stab boost for its water moves, Overquill, and then uh, Spazio Legion.
I thought you were thinking of Hurricane Spam with Noivern.
Uh, that does help. That does help. But I think with Noiver, in most cases, you're just clicking uh, Draco Meteor, and then probably pivoting out the following turn.
Mhm.
But one thing to consider, because I think Chimeco is just like a 1 point shitter, but maybe you get the Copium Rain Setter and slap Polytoad on this, wherever it is. Wherever it is, let me look up.
That sounds like an 11-point mon if I've ever heard one.
Polytoad is 6 points, so maybe configure something between Pribombi, Instant, and Chimeco to slot Polytoad on this somehow.
Mhm.
But apart from that, I think this team has very solid, very solid hazards. It has one of the best. It has probably the best uh, rapid spinner in the game in Tusk, which also provides super extensive physically offensive pressure here. Its stabs are very hard to switch into. Um, you also have Ogerpon for more uh, physical offense as well. So I think uh, I'd be surprised if this is a team that does not make playoffs.
Yeah, no, this team is 100% playoff caliber. I mean, it just does
Mm,
everything well.
for sure. The only thing is I don't think it switches into moves well. So you're probably going to run hyper offensive. Uh, you're probably going to run a hyper offensive team style with this most weeks, which I think kind of supports picking up Polytoad just to facilitate some rain offense here.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's all I have for that team specifically.
All right. On to my boy Magical Potato.
Magical Potato, who picked up the round one Terra Kilo, wanting to bring it back from last season.
Runner up in kill leaders.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it finished third, if I remember correctly. It was like Golden Gull was second, and I'm trying to remember who was first. I can't remember off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, let me see if I have the doc recently opened.
I think it should
I
be.
do. I do. Uh,
That's wild.
looks like. Alright, as that loads, one thing I like to point out is with the previous team, we were talking about the possibility of adding on rain.
Mhm.
This team has rain, and it has probably the best abuser of rain in the entire game in Terra
Barracuda.
Barracuda. Yeah.
Mhm. And then his partner, who's every bit as up there with him, Arcalodon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Archaludon and Rain, super scary. You also have Keldeo, uh, who I'm not sure if you've listened to any of the previous PRs. Slapping a choice specs on Keldeo and clicking Hydro Pump, not really any switch-ins to that, so pairing that and Rain is very deadly.
and then I know we were talking about it earlier with Urshifu single, but Crawdon on this team could come in some weeks, and it's got that Aqua Jet too. Just pick up,
Adaptability boosted,
yeah, just come in and kill stuff with just
for sure,
Aqua Jet and Rain.
for sure. Uh, I also like Chomp on this. I think it adds I think it adds a physical presence to this team outside of Rain, which I think otherwise this team this team lacks a lot.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, with how much water, how much stuff you got weak to electric, just having a ground switch in is also huge.
yeah,
And I mean,
for sure.
it's Garchomp too, so I mean, there's really nothing. Well, I don't want to say there's really nothing, but it's just like, what better ground switching would you want versus Thunder or Electric type teams?
Mm, yeah, it is one of the best switch-ins to electric type moves. That's true. Um, there's a point I wanted to make. Yeah. Um, I think this team could benefit from picking up another spiker, so that way Chomp isn't forced to run them. I think because if you ever need hazards, hazards in a matchup, um, I think you want the possibility of not having to put them on Chomp, and so that way you can run those more offensive uh, Chomp sets for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, and I was sure at it for a second there. I was questioning what Decidueye I was doing here, but this defog down here tells me all I need,
Hmm. Yeah,
and we just got Snorlax, who I don't know, I don't know what they're gonna do every week with that, but
yeah. I don't know why Snorlax is here, specifically when Spec went undrafted.
hmm.
You can probably, well, Spec is picked up now, but you probably could have dropped that after you realize that Spec was not picked up. Um, I think one thing this team might need to be careful about is toxic spikes, because I don't think Monkey Dory ever wants to come to a game. The reason why I think toxic spikes can be a bit scary is for Chomp, Keldeo, and your brain abuser. Um, I think the opponent will want a way of wearing down turns anyways, and I think Toxic Spikes to punish that helps to facilitate that as well.
Mhm.
Shall we move on?
Yep. Let's go on to Caltech. Just want to
So
say.
breaking into the top three, we have Caltech's team, which I very much like the top three here. I think Terzarud, Lando, and Iron Bundle is a very threatening offensive core right there.
Mhm.
And to and to add on to this, there's also a non-Terra Queva, which went pretty late. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
7.
6, round 7. Uh, Pretty surprising to see it fall that late. Um, I think the speed tiers have a pretty large gap. Because I think realistically, you're going from 136 to 100 with Jirachi, possibly even 91, because I don't think Zarud and Jirachi really want to run tons of speed, especially if Jirachi has to be some form of defensive set in a matchup.
Mhm.
So I think that is kind of scary for this team for sure. This team also has not the best hazards. It has very good rockers, but no spikers present. Makes me no spikers present. Kind of makes me sad.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is, but I
Mm,
think if you're just gonna focus your whole team on offense, you probably just get your stealth rocks up, you turn out, and then just go into like your Zaruds or
mm.
Iron Bundle who just want to come in and kill stuff immediately.
Yeah, but that's why I kind of like spikers here, because I don't think I think Iron Bundle functions as a cleaner more than a breaker. So
Mhm.
having its switch-ins take an extra 12% from spikes makes sort of helps Iron Bundle in that regard.
Yeah, but then I guess a mon I think a lot of people are gonna overlook is Meowstick Male. Cause I just like prankster mons, especially ones that can just pass off T-Wave onto everything
Mm,
quite easily.
Prankster's solid. Prankster's solid, but I don't think it offers any speed. I think its speed is pretty irrelevant because it will most likely be prankster bot like screens or T-Wave or something like that.
Hmm. No, I hear what you're saying there, and I get prankster doesn't fix everything with speed,
Hmm.
but I just like the ability to have if I want my T-Wave up and I know let's just say you got I don't know like this bundle, I'm just gonna use it and it's an example. That Meow stick isn't gonna live any hit bundle gives unless I give it T-Wave so I can get at least some form of value out of a Pokemon like Meowstick.
Yeah, for sure.
Now I'm just
Oh,
curious. I'm curious to see what Charge Bug does this season. I want to see it ran like every week.
I don't. Sorry to burst your bubble, Justin, but I somehow don't see that happening.
No, I know. Not everything comes every week.
um, I think we should move on to our top two, of which finishing second place in these PRs is G-Force.
I'm not gonna commentate after what he did to me last week. That was very mean.
Oh, really? He
Yeah,
was your week one?
yeah, he's my week one.
Ooh.
This Dust
Well,
Noir will pay for its crimes.
that's right. He revenged. Yeah, th- that was an unfortunate sequence of events for you.
Yeah,
Um,
it is what it is. I mean, it was a very good team. I thought I had a good matchup going into it, especially seeing how
Mm-hmm.
many Mons were weak to ice
Mm-hmm.
going in, and I just played it pretty bad. But I mean, he showed what he can actually do in battle. Because I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
was a tricky matchup for him, after all.
For sure, yeah. I think he'll have a pretty solid season for sure.
Hmm.
Um, so this team has very solid physical offense, and Palafin has a very solid hazard bot, Ting Lu. Uh, I think Iron Moth can either function to break specially or to just uh, clean with I think with Terra Moth, the set in particular that works the best is boosters, special attack, plus agility, and then 3 attacks to go alongside that.
Hmm.
Um, I like Thundy Eye on this. Thundy Eye on this a lot. I think it can function as both uh, physically offensive or especially offensive, which I think you can kind of uh, plan out uh, as kind of a per matchup kind of thing. If you think you need more physical offense, they can run that bulk up, acrobatics, thunder punch set, I suppose, or obviously, especially with thunderbolt and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, it could
Um,
do. Yeah, I mean, Thunderous Incarnate's the perfect Swiss Army knife. It does literally
mhm,
everything. Oh, you want to run it
for sure.
offensive? Okay, we can run it offensive. You want it as a disruptor, like he did versus me, just setting up rain versus snow.
Mm.
Because I mean, he'll. We gotta actually now thinking about it. I don't think that we have a Sun team. Uh,
Uh, we do now with Orange's
oh,
team.
oh yeah, orange. That's my bad. My bad, orange. But I mean, yeah, I it just perfect Swiss Army knife. It's not one of those like I know there's some lower tier Swiss Army knives, but this is like
Mm,
probably one of the best ones.
for sure. I think Terra Ogre Pun on this. I think it's fine.
Hmm.
Me personally, I'd probably want to tear the Moth in most matchups, but I think Terra Ogre Pun works if I think it works if you're up against a team that sort of outspeeds you. So I don't think it's the worst pickup in the world.
Hmm.
Uh, Aside from that, I think the remaining four are just kind of alright. I think each of them add some form of value. You've got Wheezing, which can be Fizz Def. Uh, it can also absorb T spikes if you need it. I think uh, Guja functions as a very good sort of assault vest bot to just take special attacks. And then we saw what the Dusknor did week one, and then Cryo's just there for spin.
Which been and it is pretty bulk, or I should say it is very specially bulky.
Yeah, it does have a very fat spit F stat of 135.
Yeah. So as long as it's not stings firing off like fire blast, flamethrowers,
Mm,
it'll probably tank them.
for sure.
And I believe it
All right,
also gets recover also, if I
it
remember
does.
correctly. So now let's move on to the favorite Habane. Nice.
Yeah, this team is insane. um, I
Oh,
knew I know that Manu helped him out with this, and I think you can pretty evidently see that with round two Zap paired with round three Weavile. I know he's a very big advocate of Zapdos Kiram, and we just replaced Kieran with a more sort of faster mon here.
Hmm. My biggest problem with this team, he stole my mascot, and
True, he did.
did. And I was gonna
However,
bring that and Terra Ice it every week too. That's the funny thing.
I totally support that. But um, Terra Wellspring is very hard to switch into unless you have a dragon type that's physically bulky. Zapdos is great to punish any Scarfers that might be wanting to outspeed a +1. Uh, Terra Wellspring, which is awesome. I think Weavile uh, serves as a uh, very good revenge killer here. I think it's very solid speed, and I think now that Shenpao is pretty much banned across the board, I think Weavile will start to see uh, just I think a lot more use just overall.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, 125, 120. I mean, that's very similar to Fluttermane, who I know is universally banned. Granted,
Mm-hmm.
physical Fluttermane is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, and we see how dominant that is. So I think this could do something similar to that.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I think the hazards on this were also super strong. You have 3 spikers who can all run spikes pretty reliably, and 2 rockers is also nice to have.
Yep. And then, like I'm seeing, I don't know, quite a few taunt Pokemon as well,
Mm-hmm.
just so then you can guarantee your stuff going up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of knock off. Hell, he's even got a lot of encores. So it's gonna be tough if you got like a support Pokemon. Let's just say like a Clodsire. You're
Mm-hmm.
trying to get your rocks in. You know, you want to set up your poison spikes, but if you get caught, it's gonna be like something free. Especially with Ogre who could set up a Swords Dance and just sweep through your
Mm-hmm.
team.
For sure, that is very threatening. One thing that is kind of interesting is non-Terra Raging Bolt. I think nearly every time I've seen it drafted in probably the last year, it's always had Terra. So I'm excited to see how he uses it without Terra in this league.
Let's see, what is Raging Bolt's like 18 points, isn't it?
No, he's cheaper.
Oh, where am I looking? Because you might have not had the
He's
funds
like
for that.
14-ish. Yeah,
Where am I missing it? I know it's
its
gonna.
Terra tax is very steep. It's like 10 points.
Yeah, that's just tough to afford right there.
Hmm.
Also, I was thinking, what was? Oh, right there. 24 points. Yeah, and it's just tough when you're spending 50 points, half your team
Hmm.
budget. So I understand, and you probably go with the one you're more comfortable with, tearing every game. But
For sure. There's also webs on this. So if you wanted to run like a speedier hyper raging bolt, you totally can to just catch a lot of things off guard.
yep,
Um,
and you kind of saw that last week when I was reviewing his game versus Leaf. You kind of saw those webs were just. I mean,
hmm.
there's a reason low kicks took over, and that's because it's such a priority heavy mon that
Hmm.
nothing else could really do too much with these webs down.
For
You know,
sure. So yeah, I think this team is overall, I think overall the best one. Just out of the just out of the 17, we technically, uh, wow. I think overall this team is the best out of the 17 teams that we went over. I think I think each mon provides some form of value, which I don't think can be said for a good portion of the other teams.
Hmm.
And I think with that comment, that sort of concludes the PRs for Glaciate.
Yep. It's all gonna be. I think this division is just more skill. Like there's a larger skill gap
Mm-hmm.
in it than like any other division. You know. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
about how these teams are gonna be piloted just by
For
everyone.
sure. Well, it has been a pleasure recording this. Justin, I'm not sure when this will see the light of day. I don't know if this is being streamed live or if it's just being recorded or whatnot, but
No,
regardless, it has been a pleasure, and I'm glad we were finally able to finish all the PRs.
we did it. Save Glaciate for
Yeah,
last. I wouldn't want it any other way for my glorious Glaciate division.
yeah. I mean, it only took what this. I think we recorded the last one Saturday,
Yeah.
which was Fusion Flare. Although it feels like it's been a week.
Yeah. And it yeah, that Lord Arcanine stuff doesn't help
No, not
pass
at all.
or make time go by any faster. It's just like, oh me.
Yeah. But with that being said, I think it is time for me to leave this call. There's unfortunately a lot I have to do today. So,
I feel you. I gotta get to work. So,
yeah, I will talk to you later.
all right. See ya.
Bye.